8 and 9, in my opinion, basically movies in and of themselves. Movies in and
Yeah,
of themselves. Um, yo, just first thoughts before kind of going into details. What did you think about them?
justice for Eddie. Hashtag justice for Eddie. Man, I'm still not over Eddie.
Yo, it hit different. You thought he had it, and it was just like, man, got me.
Nah, we need more of Eddie.
I
He's
agree.
a he's a freaking good character, and they just killed him. I'd rather they killed one of the boys, Eddie. You know?
Yo, no, I mean that's it's real. Like they did a really good job in developing him up, is subtly to some extent as well, to make it so that whenever he had that ending, it made it hit. But I think it always will suck that he never would get um his justice in town, never get a chance to prove his innocence.
Yeah. Fucking
Yeah,
show, man. I'm not gonna
yeah, man.
shit out if it ain't guy. But
No,
yeah, what about you?
I'll be
First
honest.
impression.
I mean, I was impressed, especially episode 9. We talked in the group chat. Now, whenever initially when I'm like, holy crap, this thing is 2.5 hours long. Like this is a whole movie by itself. And it kind of reminded me
Game of
of
Thrones.
whenever they made no of when they made the movie uh uh the conclusion to Firefly. What was that movie called?
Uh,
Um
yeah,
uh
that one.
Yeah, but not in the sense of like they're the same thing. It's in the sense of like what you can do now with content under streaming versus what you had to do in the past. Serenity, that's what it was called.
Serenity. Yeah,
Uh, versus what you had to do in the past whenever you wanted to begin to or conclude something, like to get a movie event for it where you felt the production go up, the storyline went up. Like I felt like they showed that you can make Stranger Things, or you can make these shows bigger on the small screen, if that makes sense. Like I could
yeah.
see the difference in the camera work. The cameras were different. The sound elements were different. Even the way that they presented the characters were different.
Even the marketing here was different. Like they set up like a whole like in one of the malls here in the Philippines. They set up this huge like interactive area where like you're like in the upside down and
Right.
Vecna was the centerpiece. So like it's like a movie except it's a
Right.
TV show, and the amount of marketing they do is just incredible.
It was, and it was worth it. Like it's it's gonna make. I'm so excited for season 5. I'm also excited for the show to be done because I'm glad there isn't much more that could be done with this. But what they did with this season, um, I mean, look, to be honest with you, I mean, I'll include this season, Umbrella Academy, The Boy, all these shows that were like 2 3 years in development to just get for their season. That I always felt like, you start to forget stuff after a little bit. It almost felt like, in comparison, if you take like the MCU, and they're always dropping hits. This is the equivalent of what we get whenever we have like Drake dropping and being like, yo, and him being one of the most popular, one of the greatest artists. And then whenever Kendrick Lamar drops, and he drops every blue moon, every couple of years, every few years, but every time he drops, it hits hard. And it was a reminder, like, but I mean, they came hard this season, and I think they did their best storytelling out of this. And to be able to create a big bad that doesn't just retcon everything they had, but really explains the elements of why everything had been going the way it did.
Yeah,
Man, I and just magnifying everything was amazing for me. It was
And
absolutely amazing.
to think you guys were like, when we were initially talking about it, we're sick of the show.
Yeah, look. But you know what? They had to come hard because yeah, it was starting to feel like it was just a repetition. Like, okay, we're just hitting the same pattern. All right, there's another upside down situation, yada yada. But yo, no, they came with it. And
Yeah.
yo, they got me for another season. All of them got me for another season easily. And it's hard to forget it because of how massive they made the event. I love the fact that they're forcing us. They're finally let the kids age a little bit. So because it's getting weird. They can't be 13 forever. Like, come on. Like, or how you 13 and 6 foot? Like, unless these kids
Yeah.
about to be
How
whole
are you
NBA players,
13 and like
right? You
jacked?
got whole muscles. You know, is yeah, it's just aggravating. It would have been aggravating, but they allowed it to occur the way it needed to occur, and uh, yeah, no, I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with what they've done. Um, I couldn't ask for a better one. So, what do you think? What are your predictions for next season of Stranger Things that'll probably occur in 2025?
No, I don't have any predictions at all. Like, I haven't thought of it because I'm still like, when the fuck did they kill Eddie? Eddie was so cool. Now,
Man,
that's like, I don't get it. Eddie was a cool character. Like, he's so cool. Like, he like he's outsold like um for meet and greets. He's outsold everyone on the cast. That
yeah,
he had a bad experience in London, in a con in London. Like, everybody was like, and
man,
he has such a huge influence. Like, um, Toy Con was just recently concluded here, and
yeah.
almost like every 10th guy was wearing a Hellfire
Eddie,
Club shirt.
nah.
Yeah, the Hellfire, because everybody relates.
I mean, and I guess you know what, and it works to be able to have that person who is the face for the crowd, even if it was unintentional. The person who's weird enough that everybody feels like, yo, I would feel, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be shocked by what's going on, but I wouldn't be comfortable with what's going on if I'm in this universe looking in because you have the only other person who's the weed guy who would play that same
Basically.
role for the audience, and he's just so over the top with his highness. Like, you can't connect in with that, and even if he had died, I don't think it would have been the same effect.
Yeah,
Like, it would have been like, oh man, we feel so bad. We've been like, oh, that sucks. Also, he's really
yeah.
annoying. So yeah, kind
And
of
that guy, we've seen him in a bunch of stuff, and he's
yeah,
always a stoner, so
right,
it's nothing new.
right.
Eddie, who's been in other things, for the first time, I think he's playing like something like a role like Eddie, and he did it so well.
Yeah. No, he did.
Unlike
He
the
did.
stoner dude who's always a stoner.
It's like, okay, it's played. I get it. You're high. You're high all the time. You know. Yo, it kind of into some of the details. We a lot of this. It seems like a lot of father issues seem to be presented between this and the boys. For Elle and them. Like, what did you think of the scenes with obviously uh the doctor, Elle letting go of the doctor and then getting Hopper back?
Uh, hmm. I I kind of feel bad for the doctor because in his twisted way, he did love Elle, and he knows that Elle is the only hope for like the whole mess.
Right.
And I think for what it's worth, I think he was just trying to do what he thinks was right. He wasn't evil, but he was living vicariously through like the powers of the kids.
Yeah.
That's that's how the whole mess started anyway. But I think in the end he did like what he thought was um, good and what's best for everyone. Except he was just like
It's twisted.
yeah. But when you think about it, he wasn't even mean. He was very like I'm sorry, we gotta do this. Even locking up his partner was, I'm sorry, we gotta do this.
Yeah.
We can't let her out because she's not ready. If we let her out, she's gonna die.
No, I can see that that direction as well, and I don't disagree. I think that there was definitely a positive intention that was supposed to be had, but I think as the saying goes, uh, um, the road to hell is paid in gold. Is paved in gold, and I think that's kind of what the idea on this was, is that the ends define the means, which I'm not necessarily even against the concept, but I think how much it wasn't just how much he dismissed the lives of everybody else around, including
Yeah,
Els, to be able to get to that final point, but to also try and utilize it to reconnect with number one and Vecna, number one Vecna guy, despite knowing the fact that he's not getting him to be able to use his powers. He's getting him to try and restart whatever the programs that he wants to, because that's his first experiment, to say the least. It corrupts the good intentions of it, because they're so self-serving.
yeah,
It's so self-serving, and so I don't know. It was something that was. It feels like this was the year of, like, like Hollywood always has these moments wherever they like all do the same theme simultaneously. So it seems like
yeah.
this theme this year was, hey, we got daddy issues, so let's do the daddy
Good.
issue series. Like, what is happening right now? Wait,
Even
what
with
is
Umbrella
happening?
Academy, it's
That's
daddy
what I'm
issue.
saying. Like, it was daddy issues galore. Like The Boys, daddy issues. Umbrella Academy, daddy issues. Stranger Things, daddy issues. Like, I mean, I guess
Uh,
it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
you gotta pardon like me putting like Vicks because I'm Asian and Vicks is a cure-all for Asians. Anyway, um, I was happy with the return of oh
Hopper.
man, Hopper.
Yeah, let's close. I think the medicine is starting to wear down.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Uh,
happy with the return of Hopper. Not so much for L, but for Winona Ryder.
mm. You said she needs love. FL, she's got friends. Why don't I need love?
They need to go on that date at least once.
Right? Oh man, yeah, no. I mean, hey, they did do an international trip. Nobody says that vacation has to be conventional. They got a nice little trip to Russia. Got to see some, jail, some gulags, fight some, fight
Good.
some demons. No biggie, no biggie at all. It feels like a relaxing time.
And it's really cool. I think how they made three separate arcs and just converge them into one arc.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's totally different from what they used to do. So that
exactly.
what I think that's what made it cool.
It's one element that I think I've heard this complaint when it comes to the MCU, is like, everybody, they're doing so much and they need to use Stranger Things as an example. And I'm like, no, Stranger Things used Endgame and Infinity Wars as the example of how to do it in this situation, not the other way around. Give credit where credit is due. Um, but yeah, but they've managed to create the proper bubbles. Though my only real gripe that I had in terms of those bubbles was on that last episode, whenever man, I always forget names. But whenever uh four of them. Whenever not Dustin, whenever Steve, the skinny chick,
Yeah.
whenever Steve, Robin, and I'm literally trying to look up and Nancy, were going after Vecna's physical body, and they got caught by the tentacles. Like that part. Like I thought they were gonna kill them off. Like I mean, I knew they were gonna kill them off, but the amount of time that was occurring kind of threw me off a little bit because of the setup. But outside of that little gap period, I think their bubbles of storylines were just well divided, where everybody got screen time. Everybody's storyline seemed significant. Nobody seemed like a filler component
Yes.
of anything, and hence whenever it came to the end, everybody had what I would say is a full rotation. Even the hit kid who wanted to be who wanted to be a bloody super star villain, whatever. The basketball
Yeah.
player guy who was just like way out of his mind on trying to seek revenge.
He
Sliced
got
in half.
split in half.
So happy for it. So happy for it. I don't care about good intentions. In that situation, your methods were the worst, and it's good. It was time for you to go. Like you became obsessed. Right.
But oh, I have one prediction.
Mm.
Like I have a feeling Will's
Will
going
come out
to
of the
come
closet?
back.
Yes, he will.
No,
I do believe.
yeah, aside from that, he's gonna become a prominent figure again, because I think, like, especially with the last scene, like seems
Yeah.
like Vecna's gonna take control of him or something.
That's true. And you know what? Speaking of which, I think he might be the only character that I don't think we got enough of, or he didn't do. I mean, he did enough. Like he did get screen time, and he did show his significance in terms of a certain level of grounding for L. But I feel like we didn't get to see his character grow, as opposed to, outside of his own identity realization. Um, uh, but in terms of the character himself, with what's going on with the environment, I didn't feel like he grew very much from what we had in the past.
Because he's probably gonna be like
The
front and
centerpiece.
center season 5, so maybe that's why they're like, downplaying him a bit, letting the other characters have the limelight, and then boom. I reckon it's gonna be Elle and him at the end fighting each other.
I think
Now
there's no
that
doubt that L is going to be at the end fighting, but I do wonder if it's going to include anybody else. If anybody else who's powered is going to come out of existence.
Oh, I have a theory just now.
Shoot,
I reckon
those high theories.
Will's gonna fight Elle. Vecna's gonna like tempt him to fight Elle because he wants to be with Elle's boyfriend.
with Mike.
Mike.
I don't think they're going to go that direction. I do believe that we're going to see Vecna taking over taking over Will's body. That one I feel confident about because of the connection from season 2. But from season 2. But I don't know if we're going to do it, and it's going to be Mike being the catalyst for it. That one I don't think they'll go that direction, because one, it would be so antithetical to what they've already presented in terms of like strengthening relationships, but also knowing that there's no reciprocation from Mike to Will. So it would be such an easy siding to go on that. And the idea, and the idea of Elle stealing Mike was not the issue, because in reality, Will's already close to Elle because of them living together. But the issue, it would make sense if Mike was turning into the villain, and then they had to re-establish the truth of their relationship, their friendship, and which again we kind of touched on it on this season, anyways. So yeah, I'd be shocked if they went that direction. But I like their prediction. Throwing stuff out there. That's what matters most.
let's remind our friends to please click on the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we have new videos out.
Subscribe.
Die. Oh, die.